Yo, 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 another guitar lesson here. We got Dean York from our I think it's the last video I made about the Big River song. Adding the flat 7 really does make a difference when you are using the dominant 7 arpeggio. Do you have a go-to pattern, and do you suggest learning one or two patterns instead of all of them at first? Hope that makes sense. It does make sense. And really, yeah, you definitely want to go one at a time here. I'm really in the camp of, the tortoise won the race. So you want to take your time. You really want to understand what you're learning and, really apply it as soon as you can. So learn a piece of the neck, apply it to the song you're playing, and get a lot out of it, and then start to extend, especially if you start getting kind of stuck in similar kind of not able to say, if you've got a small area on the guitar, sometimes you can only get so much out of it before you start running out of ideas, and then you want to kind of expand. So either way, let's take a look at that. We'll just do a dominant 7 chord, okay? And the main shape you want to look at here is just this shape right here. You got the 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and then 1 on top, or 8. Because that's one full octave, and that's kind of a really way to get grounded in some of this stuff, is just having the octave there. And just kind of moving back and forth. And then really be aware of what that flat 7 sounds like. Okay, now if I was doing like, of course, now if we move it down to G, you got the same thing. And the key here really is it's comprehensive. So if you know your 1, 3, 5, for example, here's another way to look at it. Just playing your 1, 3, 5. And this will definitely help you a lot, knowing this, because if you already know this 1, 3, 5 for the A, the flat 7 just lives a whole step below the A, below the root, the 1. So if you work on your triads, then you know automatically where the flat 7 is. You do a little bit of calculation, it's a whole step below the 1. You got it. So recognizing scale degrees, the root of the chord that you're playing, that flat 7 is just going to always be a whole step below the 1. So let's take a look at an exercise you can do besides just that first pattern. Now that first pattern also works on the A string, of course. So the first order of business, you could just be added the 4 in there on accident. But yeah, so you can see now that the problem with that is you're moving. You've got like 2 spots that are kind of far away from each other. But that's a good place to start, because then you can start connecting in between there over time. But here's another exercise for you. I think this will help you out. And this is going to include the triad, and it's going to be kind of comprehensive here. So any chord, you start with the root on the E string. We're just doing A. First, I want you to play this. You're just going 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, right? Up and down. Now, for a dominant 7 chord, and this is important too because it reiterates the fact that a dominant 7 chord is actually a major chord. Because a lot of people don't know that. They don't even think about it. It's a major chord adding the flat 7. So now, add your flat 7. It's a minor third above the 5 and a whole step below the 1. There's it. So that is, now we got 2 octaves here. Now we're cooking. So I would encourage you to first learn the 1 octave, because that shape is just really nice. It fits the hand really well, and you can move it around, like I said. Then when you go to 2 octaves, we've got... That's just going down to G. I'm just kind of moving around a little bit, but A to G. So you can see the pattern is the same. And so that's where I would begin. Learning at 2 octaves, starting on the E string. First, outline that triad. And then add that 7. Yeah. Then I guess the next logical approach would be to learn it on the A string, the root on the A string. So, for example, let's just do D since we're just going to stay in the meat of the guitar here. So D, again, I would learn the triad. Okay. And I've got a little graph up here to help you. That's 2 octaves, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. And then, again, just add the flat 7. Which is just a whole step below the 1. Always. So when you learn that, and I would suggest just playing over a 12-bar blues as well. That's the way to start to apply this stuff. Because if you got your A here... there's the 4. Back to the 1. And the E is just a whole step above the D. So that you can kind of dance around on those arpeggios and highlighting the chord changes. That's just, I mean... that's a really, really fruitful exercise because blues show up everywhere. 1, 4, 5 shows up everywhere. And that's just a way to really ground yourself in the blues sound in general. If you ever want to make anything bluesy, you can start adding those flat 7s to these major chords to get these dominant sounds. And yeah, so anyway, Dean, thanks for the question. Glad you're watching the channel, and hope you're doing well, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.